Hey there, this is Wojtek Kaczmarczyk from Duroboti. Today we're going to spend the day with a man whose business motto is to buy cheap and sell high. On one hand, it's nothing groundbreaking, but on the other hand, he makes millions from this knowledge. On one hand, he does property flips, and on the other, he teaches others how to do them, which actually earns him more money. We'll find out all about this today. Let's go inside.
Hi, Daniel. Hi.
Welcome. We've known each other for 7 years, 6'5". Last time we filmed an episode, you looked different back then.
Yeah, I was a bit heavier. I had a bit less money.
But today I have more money. I'm slimmer and happier, but there won't be any special treatment today. The fact that we know each other is one thing. But today, I'm a representative of my viewers on the Duroboti channel, and I'll be asking about various things related to business, your training programs, flipping, and I'll spend the whole day with you.
Hey, I'll show you a different perspective. Come have a coffee.
I guess that every day of yours probably looks different.
Each day is different. One in the office, another traveling, the next at training, and another out in the field. So my job is very diverse, so it might seem like I'm doing several different jobs. But today what I wanted to show you is the work of a person who teaches other people about business. So I won't be showing any hardcore renovation work like we did recently, but I'll show you how I organize everything and how I show others how to do it. So you'll see me from a bit of a different perspective.
Exactly. I've already encountered this at the very beginning. On top of that, there are a lot of comments saying that a flipper makes more money talking about flipping than actually doing flips. Are you still doing flips despite everything?
I'm still buying and selling apartments, and today I'll show you mine. I have apartments across Poland, so the business has grown. I flip with different people, including former students of mine.
You as your business, your company, your people.
What my company structure looks like. I have people working with me, I have co-owners, I have employees, and I have partners all over Poland who bring me these opportunities. And together we buy this property, and then I am the owner, and the partner does the flip. Okay. I'm kind of like a sort of boss, you could say, who manages all of this and
Finances it.
I provide the money, and someone brings me an opportunity.
And you split it by some percentage, half.
Half. So let's say, Wojtek, you bring me an opportunity, right? You have an apartment to buy at a bargain, let's say 100,000 cheaper. I put up the money, you do the flip, then we split the profit, half and half. I take 50, you take 50, and I get my money back.
I was also at your training about 5 years ago. I don't do apartment flips, but I'm developing in the restaurant industry where you could say I kind of flip venues. So I can say that I use the knowledge I gained. Is it like that with all your trainees? Do you have, I don't know, any statistics on who is active and who stopped being active?
We found that 36% of people bought their first apartment after training. Interestingly, some attend because they have other businesses. Yes, you got very involved at that burger place today. Some people use this knowledge not just for flipping, but for other businesses too. Some people apply what they learn about running a business and setting up its structure to their other businesses.
Okay, we'll talk about those training sessions today too, because that's a topic I really want to cover from every angle. So let's finish our coffee, get in the car, and head to the office. Daniel, we won't talk much about your cars today because this isn't an automotive channel, it's about work. So a work-related question. Did you really need a car like that to get to this job?
It didn't have to be. But it's a kind of reward for my hard work, so since I work hard and earn well, I can afford to buy a car like that.
Registration for flips? Yes.
For flips, meaning maybe I saved up money for this car from flips.
Okay. So today I also have a present for you because today we won't be doing flips, today we'll just get to work. They got to work, so today we'll change the plates and the Lamborghini will be for work.
All right, let's go then.
Get in the passenger seat. But I think later,
We'll switch.
when I get the hang of this whole business, I'll be a good driver too. You say that over the past few years you look better and earn more, so your companies have probably grown too. What do the structures of your businesses look like now?
I have two companies that work with technology, meaning I have apps for investors and for the automotive industry, but my main business is still house flipping and property development. Those are my two main areas of activity, and I also have a fund that finances many of these ventures.
Activities and several industries, but you're still, let's say, involved with training programs and property development. But how many people are involved in all of this? I mean, your employees?
Including everyone who works for me in this business, there are about 30 people. So it's not a big company, but it's quite agile, like a speedboat that, in case something happens in the market, if there are any changes, I'm able to change course, rearrange things.
Okay, 30 people. So it's not a big company, but it's also not just you alone. Like we see you on all those social media platforms and we think a businessman who continually leverages his personal BR and earns money.
Yes, of course. For all of this to be published, there have to be people who handle it on a daily basis.
Things happen and get managed here.
Here is my modest little room. This is where I work. Sometimes someone comes to see me.
How many times per month did we sit here for everything in this office?
Because you're rather mobile, right? Yes, I'm mobile. I kind of have a mobile way of working. I think it's about 23 days. Sometimes I'm in the conference room and I have meetings all day. Sometimes I'm here for an hour. It varies, yes.
But do you leave the house at a certain time every day and have some kind of routine, or is it more like...
I try, let's say, to start work around 9 and definitely finish before 5, so I rarely stay longer or work overtime.
But can you allow yourself, for example, to say now, first of all, can you? And second, would you want to just say a week?
I'm not doing anything. Next week I'm on vacation for a week and a half. Tomorrow, Wednesday, I have a day off and will stay home. So it's possible.
It's possible.
It's not easy when you have ADHD and you're also a workaholic. Well, that's difficult. But considering that, well, that your body needs it.
A bit of recovery and the business won't collapse after all. It won't.
Once I went on a trip around the world for a month and a half and nothing happened either. And that was the best year so far. Yes, at that moment, since this one is better.
Okay, but you can see the scale, that it's still growing all the time.
Yes, all the time. Yes, it's not some sudden jump, but every year is better and better.
But is it because, I don't know, inflation, that housing prices are rising?
No. It's also because you're constantly learning, constantly developing, always doing new things, experimenting. You don't work with the same people as 10 years ago, so you must develop new methods to stay ahead in the market.
This message is for all viewers, no matter what you do, because this episode is for everyone, so you can draw conclusions from each part of the conversation. It doesn't matter if it's real estate, laying tiles, or doing paving. Educate yourself to avoid repeating the same thing for 10 years and staying stagnant. We're always developing new methods and doing innovative things.
Okay, come on, I'll show you some short videos, see what it looks like. Here we have the secretariat, here we have office rooms where people are spread out. This is the marketing department. Some kind of meeting, that's how I understand it. Refreshments. Okay, alright.
They're watching YouTube.
Yes, they're watching YouTube. In the technical room, the team edits videos for the brand's channel. Here's the specialist for all technical aspects, graphics, the website as well. So yes, that's how everything looks here.
This is already a production company. It's not just flips, not just real estate, but here we actually produce the videos.
This is my partner and deputy's room. Here's my partner, Siwiec. Hi. Hey, we're just recording here.
We're just recording. Everything is live here.
Here's the conference room where a meeting is happening. It's similar to online schools where Marila, who works for me and manages the app, teaches people. At the moment, she's having consultations on how to use the program. So in one place, there are dozens of people who just want to learn how to use it. Here we also have an office. This is still our office. Here we have the girls sit here, talk, and Christoph manages the sales department here. So when someone contacts me and is interested in, for example, my course, their call gets routed to this room. You could say, okay.
When we get into this business head on one hand, it seems like at this training, it's just you, the one who speaks, the one who earns. Yes, but there's so much more going on around it.
So there are quite a few people involved in all this support, also to make everything work so that I don't have to handle every client myself individually. So that's why there are so many people here for this, right?
I'm coming over to Daniel with the chair. He's really working here too. This isn't staged, so we'll interrupt him a little. There are a lot of people around here. You can't really see that, let's say, on your social media or during your trainings when you're presenting and talking, you don't see all the background. How much does one of your trainings cost now?
Such a training costs 12,000 zlotys, but it includes a 4-day workshop where I show the whole system of doing flips.
Okay, the average number of people at these trainings can really vary.
Yes, I try to make sure these groups aren't too small either, because it's also my time. But also so that these people have networking opportunities, because there are investors there are people who have capital. There needs to be at least a group of 300, 400 people for it to make sense and for there to be good networking. Then it's okay.
So let's say such a training brings in, I don't know, 500, 600,000, but then everyone thinks that after one 4-day training, you can buy yourself half a Lambo. You can see behind the scenes that it isn't like that. There are actually a lot of people involved and a lot of marketing.
For all of this to work, for it not to be a one-person business, not a one-man show, there has to be a group of people who support, help, and make it all happen. I am, you could say, of course, the owner of all this and the one directing it all, but I also have to share these profits with others, because otherwise I would have to be a slave to my own company.
Well, yes. And the amount of work they have to put in and the amount of money you need to pay them, it's really quite a lot. So can we conclude from this that from a single training session, the amount people pay you is not the net profit you actually keep?
Exactly, because there are also hotel costs, food, and so on, since there are other additional expenses. But is that a lot or a little? In my opinion, if someone gets a business idea from it, on which... And basically all the tools and all the frameworks that let him earn 50 or 60,000 on his first project, it pays off right away. From this perspective, it's really peanuts, not big expenses. Of course, compared to another industry, it may seem like a lot, but the real question is, what solutions are being purchased for that money?
Yeah, that's right. Some people can spend 12,000 on a vacation, but if it's for self-development, they call it daylight robbery.
For me to be here in this place, to be able to teach others, I spent 1,000,000 zlotys on my own education over the last 15 years. So I keep investing in myself all the time. For example, next month my wife and I are flying to Romania for a training course. We've been to the States many times for various conferences. So it's not like I'm telling you to learn while I don't do it myself. To stay one step ahead of others, I have to keep learning too.
Do you film these videos here, the ones on your social media? Yes?
Instagramach. Kolejna rzecz. I to też obsługują ci ludzie, którzy widzieliśmy ich u góry od tego YouTube'a, czy to jeszcze?
No, they handle it here. They set up the cameras, they set up everything. So here I just show up.
I record here too. Quite a few people have commented that you upload everything, let's say, to YouTube, to your social media, all your knowledge. Does that mean that if I watched your entire YouTube channel from start to finish, I would learn, I don't know, as much as I could learn from your training course that cost 12,000 zlotys?
Of course not, because there is a ton of knowledge on the channel, but I keep the most important things for the training. It wouldn't be fair to those who pay me if I offered the same thing for free as the paid version. It would be unethical, unfair, and people would eat me alive for it. Now we're heading to one of my apartments that's being renovated. I want to supervise and check its progress, so take a look. Now the apartment that was flooded because we had a water leak, it happens sometimes.
Currently, you have over 100 apartments.
Yes, over 100 apartments I have here. In the building where we just were, I have over 40 apartments. In the one we're going to now, I have over 30 apartments. And I have a few more apartments spread out all over Poland.
Okay, but that would already be enough for you. For example, if you rented out those apartments, you could maintain that lifestyle without more training or flips and just live passively.
That I could already do that, I could have done it for many years now, but I still keep doing it. You know why? Because it gives me a sense of fulfillment, satisfaction. And when I sometimes go away, after 2 weeks I start going crazy and I just get bored and I have to do something. So in a way, I feel fulfilled, I find fulfillment in it. By running these workshops, the biggest reward for me is when, after a year or 2 or 3, someone comes back to me and says, thanks to attending that training, thanks to learning those ways to make money, today he opened a business, has money, and changed his life. This is an apartment after renovation, but it's already been renovated twice because it was flooded. Here the tenant was away, a pipe burst, and it flooded his apartment badly. And it's right here.
And this is your apartment?
This whole building is mine.
Okay, so in this building, how many apartments do you have? 35. So it's not like people say that you have 100 apartments scattered all over the city?
No, you have to focus. I sell some apartments, I consolidate some, just to have as many as possible in one place so I don't have to manage single apartments all over the place.
Wow, so that's how it all is?
That's the whole thing.
Okay, and that was also, let's say, an opportunity.
It was an opportunity bought from the state, let's say the Polish state. It was a building, of course. It was built, then the state took it over, then the university owned it, and I bought this building from the university. It was in a terrible condition, and I renovated everything. I spent over 3 million on the tenement and more than 6 on renovations.
So what? We have 30-some apartments, all rented, yes.
We called this apartment the liquor store. Honestly, I haven't been in it since it was finished, as I was here earlier. This is the apartment, and I think it's our smallest, but I don't know its size. And Tomek, well, 19 with a mezzanine.
I think someone is renting it.
Yeah, someone is renting it. Here you have a couch, here you have a place for a TV, but you don't need a TV. When you have such a beautiful view of the street, yeah.
That's why the TV is upstairs, partly covered, and why we keep it there.
There we have a bed. So we added this floor above the apartment, we added this floor, and that's why it's being rented. Some bachelor lives there.
But again, I don't mean to defend you here because I don't intend to defend you in this video. But just for information, if it's renovated, it's still 19 square meters, but someone is renting it, so obviously there's demand.
What do we charge for this apartment? 1950.
1950.
City center. Sir,
How much monthly income does this building generate?
how much Tomek does it bring in? About 10,000 zlotys per month from such a rental. Okay?
And you are the manager of this, so for example, if, I don't know, a light bulb burns out or some kind of fund, let's say,
But don't call me.
if it burns out, well, I see it's on all day, it won't last long.
So, we are the managers of this property, which means we're responsible for everything here. We don't have an external company, we do it ourselves. With so many units, it's worth handling it on our own. That's why, of course, if something like a light bulb breaks, the tenants fix it themselves. But if something gets damaged in the common areas or something needs to be cleaned, then we take care of it. I try to focus on where I live because here I have control over my assets and money, but I also have investments online, over 100 million zlotys. We're building 3 apartment buildings where we'll have both an outdoor and an indoor pool, right by the sea.
At what stage is it?
It's at the design stage. Today is October, so we expect the building permit by January and we'll start construction next year. It takes time. You can't just rush it.
Another building? Looks like there's some kind of development project here, right?
A development project, and I wasn't the one who built it. It was built by another developer, you could say a friend of mine. However, what's interesting is that I wanted to buy this building, but you could say I missed out on it, because it used to be an old department store.
So there was something here before?
There was a department store here, and they converted that department store into loft-style apartments.
Okay.
Since I didn't buy that building, I bought 4 apartments from them. Uh-huh.
Well, it's something.
Well, it's something.
But this is strictly for sale, I'm not renting it out here.
Yes, this is an apartment made for flipping, and it was finished by my crew. There used to be a studio here, and we made, you could say, 2 rooms. Okay, so it's like a 1-bedroom, like they sell abroad, this kind of apartment.
What makes you happiest out of all these businesses you do?
You know what? The cool thing is that when you deal with real estate, often the apartments or buildings you buy completely change their appearance, their design. Yes, this apartment was basically unfinished. It was a white, ugly apartment, and today it's just finished. Someone will enjoy it. For someone, it will make money. That's cool. To be honest, flipping now mostly involves Excel for me. I don't enjoy it much anymore, as I'm more of an investor than someone who does the flips. I most enjoy teaching others, seeing them do these flips, and watching them transform themselves. From the place where I used to be as a poor employee to an investor who is taking their first steps. After a year, 2 or 3, they save enough for their first apartment and some cash.
Okay, but answering the first question from this episode, do you still make money from these flips? It all comes down to Excel? And that's a lot of money and the trainings are just an extra. Does it even out like that?
I make more money from development, flips, and some other side things. But of course, training courses still matter a lot to me. And I wouldn't give it up. Even if I didn't make any money from it, even if I had to put money into it, maybe add to the business, which I don't like and wouldn't do, but even if I earned very little, just symbolically, I would still do it, because it gives me so much satisfaction. Thanks to this, I build a community that later brings me opportunities. It's not just about teaching. I also benefit, as workshop attendees often call me with new opportunities. Later, I can buy that apartment, we earn money from it together, so it all builds up. The fact that I have a public presence in the media, that I'm transparent, it increases my whole business, right? So you could say that it's very profitable and beneficial and gives a lot of satisfaction. So why wouldn't I do it?
Okay, so let's say monthly. How much do you earn personally, Daniel?
That's a difficult question because it depends a lot on the month. However, I look at my earnings from the perspective of building my wealth, and I look at how my wealth is growing. So I check if I made 300, 500, or 700,000 in a month, right? I've had months where I earned 1 million, right? And I'm not saying it's always like that, but I don't look at it from that perspective. Today I focused on making my life enjoyable, so I don't overwork myself, because I used to have that tendency. So I have a meaningful goal in life, time for family, vacations, trips, and all those things. What's the point of money if you don't know how to use it? That's why I kind of don't want to.
If you don't have time to use it,
Yeah, you know how, but you don't have time. I don't want to be a billionaire. I don't want to be, 10 times richer, because that money won't make me any happier. I try rather, at the expense of more money and bigger businesses, to enjoy life because our time is limited. This apartment needs finishing, you could say. That's how it looked before we renovated it. This apartment is a bit higher here because it's on the first floor. The ceiling is higher, so it might be a bit better.
So for apartments like this in Lublin, the price per square meter,
Well, for 13.5
already for sale or from the developer, right?
from the developer, since we study those for 16.
Okay.
13. It's in the city center, a new building and a small area. If it were bigger, the price would change.
I recently bought in Krakow for about 15,000, so there's not much difference between Lublin and Krakow.
Let's say there's a big difference, but we're really comparing two different locations, two different worlds. So you're comparing, this is an apartment that's 29 square meters. Okay, so because of that, it has a different price. It's in the city center, and your apartment isn't in the old town, right? No, it's not. And here it's practically a stone's throw from the old town.
Okay, but you likely paid just 9.5, not 13.
All right, Wojtek, it's your turn. Now hold the keys. Now you're driving. Now it's you. Feel like a flipper.
Feel like a flipper with a flashy, expensive car. Yes. We've already spent a little time together. I already feel like a flipper now. I got into your Lambo. I have to say it's a nice, comfortable car and it's fun to drive.
That's Wojtek. Let's go now to my apartment, my first flip. Honestly, I've never been there before. That was 15 years ago when I did my first flip, and that's the apartment we're going to. I'd gladly go back there for sentimental reasons.
I wonder if someone profited from it 3 more times. No.
Not sure, but we can check. The land and mortgage registers have everything.
I fit within the lines. I thought you just don't park a car like that in front of an apartment block.
You do, as long as you're a flipper?
Then you can, and nothing happens.
Okay, this is the apartment where I did my first flip, right in this building. 15 years ago, I bought my first apartment to flip and made my first 30,000 zlotys.
Okay, here.
It was here, but the balcony was on the other side. We can walk around from this apartment.
It all started here, the Lambo, the whole company, hiring 30 people, and also the training sessions, which we're still developing. If you hadn't done those flips, you wouldn't have the knowledge to share now.
Without that first flip, I wouldn't have anything to share now. I've done several hundred flips throughout my career and handled many transactions, and it's thanks to that I have the background and foundation today to teach others how to do this business as well.
Exactly. What would you advise people who have skills, who have a trade, and on the one hand could teach and educate others?
Exactly, because to teach, you have to be an expert. I did this business for 7 or 8 years before I started teaching others, so first of all, I already felt that I had the expertise. I wrote a book about it. Others appreciated it and started asking me themselves, Daniel, maybe you could teach this, maybe you could show me how to do it. I said, okay, let's try. I ran one training session, then another, and people liked it. I realized this was cool because teaching others requires you to keep learning. That you're always immersed in it, you have to keep improving yourself, so it motivates you too. So when you teach others, you also teach yourself.
Yeah, and that's also important information for viewers who already have a practical skill. And like I mentioned before, it doesn't matter if we're a full-time driver, a very good professional, or if we're laying tiles on the floor, painting walls, or doing plaster work. There's always someone who might not know something, and we can teach them exactly that.
Especially when we're just starting out. It's exactly one of those balconies. I don't remember which one, but I think it's the middle one. There's a balcony, there's a kitchen. You see that one? Let's go there. Let's walk over there.
Who taught you that 15 years ago? Did you have a similar educator then?
No, there weren't educators like that then. I went to some agent courses and trainings, but the knowledge was piecemeal. I had to organize and build my own system myself.
So you earned 30,000, but you also had to spend it first on the apartment and second on the knowledge you had to acquire beforehand.
Yes, but back then I was a bit stingy when it came to spending on knowledge because I didn't know it would bring such a big return. So back then I was looking for different courses. When I was working full time, I was also learning negotiation skills and various other things, right? And only now do I realize how much education can really offer. And what else? I can say that when I bought this apartment, I only had 30,000 zlotys for the deposit for the earnest money. So the people who owned this apartment, they had debts, and in order for the apartment to be sold legally, at that time, because it still had it had its own problems, but their debts needed paying and they needed money, not the apartment since they lived elsewhere. They gave me the keys for 6 months, I paid their debts, renovated the apartment, and listed it for sale at a higher price. In 4 months, I sold the apartment to a girl for a higher price. She paid me my 30,000 and also, let's call it a premium, so my profit was 30,000, which means I got 60, and I put in 30. That was the moment. Aha, that was the moment. Wow.
Okay, and you moved on?
and I moved on.
Yes, exactly. We arrived at your shield tower back and we're changing. Now I'm getting in on this side. From the Lamborghini to the Maybach, we're switching and wrapping up this segment about Matka. We'll switch to Daniel South's channel soon for my interview. To wrap up, here are 2 or 3 tips for young people, or for people who are already experienced in life and ambitious, who maybe don't want to drive a Maybach but want to achieve something more than they have right now. They have a trade or a skill, but they want to expand their business.
3 things, yes. First, these people should develop themselves and learn, yes, so it's a continuous process of learning and education. This will allow them to transform from where they are today to where they want to be. Secondly, they should change their environment. So if your friends from the neighborhood or from school are toxic, unambitious, they've been stuck in the same place for 10 years doing the same thing all the time, they won't take you anywhere new. You should change your environment. For example, if you want to get into real estate, that environment is very friendly. There are plenty of conferences and events. You even hosted events like that for me before, right? That's right, that's right. There are also open-minded people who are very eager to welcome new members, right? And in the case where someone, I don't know, does hard physical work, then sometimes they really don't see those other opportunities that appear. And thirdly, you are the master of your own fate, and it depends on you what you achieve in life, not on circumstances. And the fact that you are born poor is not up to you, but whether you die poor is already up to you. Oh?
I like that. That's a really nice summary of this episode. So, my dear viewers, be sure to leave a thumbs up, subscribe to the Do Roboti channel, and comment on this video. And now, quickly, without further delay, click here for the link to the episode with me on Daniel's channel. I invite you to his channel.
I invite you to the interview with Wojtek on my channel Siwiec. Make sure to check it out. Bye.